Hi there, Mark at Speedy Cheese Racing. I wanted to go over making a bracket from start to finish, kind of laying it out, doing a solid model, and then machining it. So it's going to probably take a couple of videos, but that's all right. Maybe I can learn something and you guys can learn something. So this is the front end of the little Bultaco project I'm working on. Now I used it's an old Suzuki GS 1100 front fork that I got off of a drag bike that I bought years ago. It has the old TSS race bike Bultacos had a leading axle fork, and this had one. It means I probably will end up with no trail and it's going to be skittish, but we're going to use it anyway. So I modified, and then the front hub is a Moto Guzzi Eldorado, which is just a big, cool, short spoked. It had a nice, ridged Acront Borani style, old school aluminum rim on it. It's really cool. I liked it all. I machined out all the ribs in the center, which will give me less cooling because I'll have less surface area. But this hub was so frickin' heavy. I'll bet it weighed 422 pounds. I've got it down to about 8 ounces now. So the hub is all done. So to try to get all the bracketry to fit, I took the actuating side of the hub and had to modify it. Where this scoop is, I wasn't really going to put a scoop because it's really not going to be raced. But this was where the boss was that locked into the original fork tube, so I had to do something like, so I cut it away and ended up putting a scoop on it, and then I had to move, normally this sits horizontal to the ground, the actuating arm, but it wouldn't fit any other way, so I had to cut the end of the fork off to get this to clear. I had to cut the original cable boss off and make another one. So I think it'll all fit now. I think we're pretty close, except I need to make a bracket to tie the fork into the hub. And so when I machined the cable adjuster block, boss, whatever you want to call it, I'm going with boss. Let's call it a boss from now on. I drilled and tapped a hole in the side, so we need to make a bracket that comes out and ties into the old disc brake boss that's on the fork that I left. The other one I cut off, and on the other side I cut these off. I haven't cleaned them up. As you can see, I had to machine a bunch away because this hub is way, way wider than what the original Suzuki piece was. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to lay out a bracket that bolts, and I'm going to use a flathead bolt on this side, and so it threads into a bracket that will go over and then kink over into this side. Did you hear me? I said kink. And it will tie into that hole right there. So what we need to do is start laying out dimensions and distances and angles, and then we'll draw it up in Fusion, and then we'll generate a program and machine it on the CNC mill. All right, let's get busy. Let's get our hands dirty, kind of. I mean, we're doing some engineering stuff. You're with me, right? Okay, so what we need to do is kind of get this in a position. I need enough clearance for that and that. I think about right there is looking good. So what I'm thinking is from that, this is a veneer protractor I've had for a bazillion years, but it has, a veneer has every angle and then every division of angle and at a veneer you have two scales, and depending on what lines line up on each scale, so the 0 is your master, and then you go off of the other lines, which are slight increments that will tell you within minutes of degrees. Now, do I trust this to minutes of degrees? No, but you know, it's still very cool. So I'm just going to kind of lay that out about right there, and I'm going to leave the tangent point of those two right on the edge of that, and then we'll figure out later how to kind of fudge that in. But from about right there to the center of the hole. Now, as you can tell, this is not CMM work. This is not high precision. We're doing some eyeball stuff. We're looking good right about there. So, our 0, which is where? I need glasses is what I need. It looks like we're at 15 degrees. So we need to be from that surface to hit the center of the hole is 15 degrees. Now the next thing we want to do is maybe find the height. So let me grab some calipers. So if we run this across, that's not going to work. How about right there? Across and down. And I'm just going to say about right there is 480 plus 80 is 560. So 560 thousandths from that surface to the center line of the hole. And 15 degrees, now we've completely screwed this up, all right. 15 degrees, and from that point to there is 3.5 inches. Looks like we've got a little bit, and we've got a little bit of wiggle room. None of it, you know, we've got 5 or 10 degrees of fudge room. And I think probably what I'll do is end up leaving the hole for last to make sure that it all lines up, and then sink the hole last just to make sure. Then we always have a little bit of backing out room. And that's what, whenever I design something, I always try to give myself room to back out of it. So if I completely commit, then I'm screwed and I have to do a whole new part. So I try to give myself enough leeway that I'm not so committed that after all the work and design stuff, it doesn't work out again. So let's try that. Let's start laying that out.